Hello and welcome guys to another video about the latest PTE stuff, and I just want to start off by saying, do you guys know that the Armata is now unbelievably good? With the AP shell cannon update and stuff like that, it is fantastic. I bloody love using it, it is unbelievable. But enough pining over this vehicle. What the purpose of the video today is to actually talk about all the individual changes to all the different units. So we've talked about the global changes with the supply and AA and the AP shells, but what we want to do today is look at the individual prices and stuff like that. So this is a very quick summary. I'll try to be as quick as possible because there's been a lot of changes as well. Like for example, Drock is now 40, even though it's got the auto fire mechanism, but you have to choose between a bit of smoke and HE or fully HE. So yeah, still very good and very relevant, especially for 40 points. It's amazing. But we'll break down all of the changes that we can think of. Now we're going to start off with the infantry because that's where most of the stuff has gone. Firstly, it's going to take infantry longer to start panicking, so that's a really good change overall. I really like that, and squad losses have been synchronized so that, for example, you know, if these guys want to lose their machine guns or their RPG, they will lose the AKs in the same order that the other American squads do. So there's absolute fair stuff. The state between shock and panic is now slower. So units will go into panic a lot slower, but once they're in panic, they are absolutely done for. The only option you're going to have is to smoke out and get the fuck out, because the panic mechanism is going to be a lot tougher. One really good thing to notice is the fact that the spotted penalty for buildings has actually, but basically it's harder to get spotted in buildings, which I think is a good thing. Obviously when you sneak around, if you're shooting, then that's kind of removed, but yeah. And of course all the units have been made 2.5 stealth, so all the snipers are 2.5 stealth, but of course you all know that they have the sneak mechanic, so that will put it back up to 3 stealth. Now not all the units will get that, so obviously yeah, these guys, they're still 2.5, they don't get the sneak mechanism. Diversante, which is an interesting one, they don't get it in this configuration, but they do if they're in the informers setup. So there we go, there's that sneak button that appears along with a laser, which is really good. It's the same for PDSS actually. So PDSS is quite well affected. So 65, they've made it match the Baltic PDSS equivalent. Where are they? KNT 75. PDSS is actually cheaper, but it's not when you do this. Now it's more expensive, but of course you you get your sneak capability and you get rifles and underbarrels, so it does make sense. But you do lose your laser, whereas oh sorry, you never get the laser to start off with these guys, of course. Now another important thing to notice is that infantry has had their infantry healing has been reduced, so they heal slower, but the cost has also been reduced. So 1 kilogram of supply is enough to give you 1 HP back. So if you have just 100 supply like most vehicles do, then yeah, you can get the squad to back up to 100 HP. I think that's a bit ridiculous. Men should be a bit harder to revive, but I don't make the rules. So yeah, here you can revive like what, 4 squads to full HP, really? I don't know, it seems a bit off to me. It seems a bit off. I'm not sure how accurate that is. What I'm going to quickly show you in the editor now is this. So the top attack function from buildings has now been changed. So from a high rise, the range is 400 meters that you can shoot into top armor. So let's see here, right? We'll aim him for this one, and you'll see that he's shooting at the top. So the tank is facing these infantry, but he's going to be shooting the top of the tank. So yeah, you see the damage is obviously much higher. So yeah, gonna kill that tank very high. So from these really tall buildings, high-rise buildings, let's switch the fire off, you get 400 meters of range of top attack. From a 5-story building, which is what these sort of medium-high buildings are, it's 100 meters of range, so still obviously quite enough to do damage to this one. But if he starts, if he shoots this one, I just want to hit that tank to face forwards. There we go, he's facing him forwards. See, he's only attacking the front armor, because it's now above 200 meters. But on these 9-story buildings, it's 200 meters. Okay, so yeah, maybe I did it. It's 100 meters from a 5-story 200 meters from that building. So, yeah, oh no, okay, it's still counting as within 200 meters, so he did top armor attack damage there. So yeah, pretty interesting to see the increase in top attack damage from high buildings. So, in other news, quite a few units have got extra missiles, so the VDV Igla is now up to 4, the Gwardia Strelki now has 5 RPGs, the Morskaya Razvedka has now got 4 RPG-27s from 3, basically more RPGs for all squads, and that's including the American ones. So, by the way, Razvedka, extra bazooka, not this one, where are they? Not the Cav Scouts, where are they? Here we go, these scouts. So you see, they've got a buff in the amount of weaponry too. Here's a really interesting thing that I spotted. The Inżyniery Szturmowiki. Okay, so I think they've got an extra shotgun. I think it used to be 3, now they're 4. But they now work like secondary weapons, which means that they're going to fire at the same time as the rifles, you know? So like bazookas are secondary weapons, under barrels are, but you're going to have a lot more firepower with the shotguns being classed as secondary weapons from quite a lot of squads. It's going to help the Marine Raiders too. So maybe the engineers are going to be effective in buildings. As you can see, their price has been reduced, which is quite an interesting feature as well. And yeah, they keep their 10 armor if they're using thermobaric rockets. Agnamichki, they now have this bad boy. It's a very, very nifty bit of kit. We can compare it to their old weapon, which is what the SSO now have, which is the RPO-M. Okay, so RPO-A and RPO-M, the M is better. The M is much, much better. So, yeah, range is the same. They're very, very similar weapons. They're thermobaric weapons, yeah, the RPO-M is better. So here's the new SSO loadout as well. They've got a lot more firepower with these RPO-Ms. 2 shots of them. They're like a beefy Agnamichki squad. They're twice as good, so the price is pretty fair. Standoff, they haven't changed. But what has changed is the individual damage output. Now this damage output is now measured per minute, so it's damage per minute of firing. So yeah, the snipers are more or less the same because they fire 1 round a minute, more or less. So yeah, it makes sense. It's easier to compare rifles to machine guns and machine guns to snipers as well. I think that's also a really pretty good feature. Let's move on because there is so many changes. Actually, in terms of the availability limits, I'm just going to show you a screenshot because the availability of the units has been capped. Special forces have been gone from 3 to 2, and most squads have been reduced as well. So feel free to pause the video. Here it is on the screen. Yeah, enjoy the screenshot right there. Cool, let's move on. There's been a lot of price changes, which I'll, throw up a screenshot once again for you. There you are. But the ones that I want to talk about the most is the Spetsnaz JU. It's now 115 points. This is wrong. This is just on the PTE. It will be 100. And if you want the RPG version, it'll be 130. So 115 and 130, basically back to how it used to be for a large part. I actually really like them in the double Verba setup, so this change really helps me out. I also like the mix setup. I like the RPG setup too, but I don't think it's worth it. I think you're much better off with these two setups. A really cool thing that I like as well is the Diversante. Previously, it is just an informer unit, right? You basically just want to use it for stealth and for lasing and stuff like that. But now they're 80 points for the RPG 30, which of course ignores APS. And that's the only RPG to do that in the game. I think it's the only weapon to actually do that in the game. The only weapon that shoots through APS. And that's because it has a tandem warhead. Now, for 80 points, I think, and 10 armor, and these AKs, which are still pretty competitive, I think this squad is going to kick a lot of ass. And I'm actually going to deploy them in the ambushy kind of loadout because I really like that. Yeah, another squad, again, a lot of these changes are for Russia, which is a little bit surprising, but that's how the game's going, is the Spetsnaz VMF. They're much cheaper to run in the sniper configuration, and I have done that in the PTE, and it works amazingly well for this price. These 250s don't stop firing. These SVDs, marksman rifles, they don't stop firing either, and you just end up doing a shit ton of damage, trust me, especially if you double stack them. Yeah, up until, and by the way, they still have 2.5 stealth, so up until the point that you get cruise missiled, these are going to kick a lot of ass. I'm a little bit concerned about the pulimechki. This is something that needs to be talked about as well, because machine guns have been buffed overall. As you can see, their damage is higher. What's interesting though to me is that these machine guns per minute, their damage is higher than the cords, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, these have more penetration, but you get 3 of these, and yeah, less range, I understand that, and these bullets will do more damage at distance, but otherwise this squad is pretty damn good now. And I think, in all honesty, it was really good before this update, and people were starting to cotton on that the pulimechki with the cords were pretty OP before the PTE update with the machine gun buff, but now they're going to be even more OP because their price has reduced from 80 to 70, which, yeah, I think is a little bit too much. I think, yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure if that's the best move right there, but these machine guns are fantastic. Please do use them. Moving on, Marines. Marines are cheaper. They're 80 points. I think that's fair. I like that because they don't have machine guns. They're going to be a bit more vulnerable to small arms fire because, like I say, machine guns now are super duper good. By the way, I'm not sure I was correct about damage per minute. I'm not sure if that's the average. Yeah, we'll have to work that out. By the way, you can see that the machine guns are all very similar in what they do. So 7.62 rounds are going to be very similar in terms of damage. I like some aspects of that, but maybe it's gone a bit too uniform for my liking. Now, the biggest change of all, and I'm going to play you the short right now. So watch the short on the side right here. Yeah, what you can see is that, yeah, we've done it. We basically showed a video of Delta Force versus, where's my beautiful Deltas? Delta Force on the standoff edition versus Diversante in a building, and the Diversante won. But now, machine guns and these rifles, these long-range stuff, they can shoot inside of buildings. So the opposite happened where these absolutely are now fantastic at CQB. These now are really, really good at CQB. Obviously not as good as these guys, but still pretty damn phenomenal. So Delta Standoff has received a massive buff, which is great. Marine Raiders have also received a buff in terms of that their Standoff edition is now cheaper, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that Standoff might be the way forward for Marine Raiders, especially with the price decrease, because you do want these weapons. They are very, very good. Marksman weapons and machine guns, like I keep saying, have received a really good buff, especially with the range increase for the M27AR. Cool. SPG-9 and weapons like this, like the RPG-29, so SPG-9 is right here, their aim time has increased and is the same for the SRAWs. So as you can see here, for these, it's now 2 to 3 seconds. It used to be 3 to 4 seconds, so they're a lot more effective, and I really, really like that change. Yeah, same for the RPG-29s. They used to take, if I'm not mistaken, 7 to 8 seconds, now it's 5 to 6. I always felt that this squad was a little bit off, but now they're going to be really effective, so I do really like that change as well. Okay, that's it for the infantry. There's a lot of stuff that's been changed, a lot of really good, interesting stuff, but we just don't have time. I want to make this a nice, quick video, so we're going to talk about the vehicles next. Yeah, as infantry jump out of vehicles, their stress will be 50% of what the vehicle is, but if the vehicle gets destroyed, the infantry jumping out will be in a full panic. So the strategy of Kindereg cars, you know, spammy vehicle kind of stuff, yeah, this is the main culprit. You get 3 squads of VDV in here. If this got destroyed, it was a Kindereg, right? So VDV, the Shao with the RPGs would jump out and they'd wreck tanks. No longer. Really, really good change. I'm very, very happy with it. So yeah, you're not going to get that sort of bullshit anymore, which is really nice because they're going to jump out fully panicked, so they can be very, very unreactive. And basically, with all of the SAMs, so if we look at all the SAMs, you notice that their ranges, so let's get the big boy SAM out, their ranges have been reduced roughly by a third, and that change is global. So that's global for all the American, all the Russian AA. I just happen to be looking at this Favre's right here. I think that's a very good change. Another good change is the fact that I've covered, you know, the mechanics of the overkill in another video. We're not looking at the mechanics, we're just looking at the vehicles and their prices as well. The prices are still the same, by the way, despite the reduce in range, but you still got to remember that you'd get ×2 high altitude range. So you're going to be actually shooting at 6,800 meters, which is still pretty respectable, I think. Stealth. Now, some vehicles have had their stealth buffed, which I'm not too sure is a really good... I think it's an okay change, but I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of it. So the Striker RV, where is she? It's in the recon tab, isn't it? No, it should be in the... In the recon tab? Yeah, of course it is. Even though it is a vehicle and it can carry troops. Used to be 1.25, now it's 1.5. So it's going to be much harder to detect these things, especially if it's shooting javelins at you. Much, much harder. Yeah, interesting change. We'll see how it works. But on the flip side, vehicles like the Spartan, the Scimitar, which used to have 1.25 stealth, are now just 1, so they're much easier to spot. Now, I do disagree with the Bradley getting this, because it obviously has some camouflage, so it should be harder to spot. This keeps its 1.25, but the Bradley doesn't. I'm not sure I agree with that. No, actually, I definitely disagree with that. This has got 1.5, I agree with that, to be fair, but the BRM, everybody knew that they used to be 1.25, it's just 1 now, so it's going to be a bit easier to spot these vehicles. In practice, I think it's okay, it's a tolerable change, but on paper, I think it sounds way worse than it actually is. So there we go. Also, another thing, whilst we're talking about the SAMs earlier, all their damage has been decreased. So we all knew that the book used to be a one-shot. It is that no longer. All of them have got very similar damage now. It's basically gone to 19 maximum damage, which is interesting. You can't one-shot planes anymore, which I think is kind of good. But also it means that I also dislike it, because I would have been happy with that as long as the range was still high, but the range has been reduced and the damage has been reduced, so it's kind of yeah, not my favorite change. But the overkill mechanic being removed means that AA shoots planes down more overall. So the Buck 3 is now definitely superior to the Buck 2. So a lot of changes with tanks, and one of those is that across the board, damage has increased dramatically, so especially for AP shells. They used to be 6, it's now more like 10 for most of the vehicles. It's the same for the American vehicles. Let's have a look at a good old Abrams. Here she is. Yeah, a lot more damage, and playing this in the PTE, the guns are just fantastic. Tanks feel like tanks, they're really good. A lot of these vehicles are 2-shot kill, which is, god damn it, as it should be. Obviously, if the vehicle's already on low HP, it's a 1-shot kill, and I wholeheartedly agree with that change. Tanks actually feel like proper tanks now. They're not just pathetic little cannons, they actually, yeah, shoot well. And things like the M8 now really do have a purpose, because they provide some excellent fire support, best cannon in the game, for a very, very cheap price. So yeah, you do, it's very, very good. I honestly really love these changes. I very, very much like them. The vehicle that's looked at the most is the Armata, because it's also had a speed increase in its fire rate, 5 to 6 seconds. So this is now, without question, the best tank in the game. 5 to 6 seconds reload. This is going to be an absolute unstoppable machine. And with air power and helicopters getting a bit of a nerf because AA has got a buff, this is going to be way more unstoppable. And it should be to an extent, because it is a tank end of the day, but I don't know, I think it's insanely good now. Barbarous, price has gone back to 300 from 250. I think actually a really good combination is these T80s with the APS right here, just to support the Armata, just to be a meat shield in it, to take some damage for it. So yeah, still a very good tank on its own, but these combined, you get an unbelievable amount of firepower. So yeah, it's kind of scary how good these vehicles are now. Terminators become cheaper. Sprut has become more expensive, by the way. That's important to note, because it is so good, so much better now. The cannon used to be 20 for the upgrade, it's now 40. Same for the M8 Thunderbolt. It's also been increased in price. The auto-fire mechanism we've talked about. In terms of RT, there's not too many. There's a lot. No, okay, there is a lot of changes. Coalition is now way more expensive. It used to be 260 points, 330. Same for the Iron Thunder, but it's a bit OP now because it's got a lot more laser-guided shells. It's lost its smoke, which is a slight shame, but it's not the biggest concern. But now it's got 20 laser-guided shells. That is huge. This is really, really good now. Especially if you get your snipers sneaking around, getting lasers off. Yeah, it's going to be very, very good. Let's just have a quick look at the Iron Thunder for the American fans here. I am one of them, by the way. I love both nations. 310 points, it's cheaper. But yeah, and their range has been increased. 5,500. That's a huge range. 23 laser-guided shells. Yeah, with best range in the game. That's pretty good. MLRS now takes longer to reload and to rearm, which is good, but it's still not enough. I wish this was even more expensive. 250 I think is a bit cheap, especially considering these are more or less the same price, but I think this is better. Yeah, I think all RT, especially now that it's harder to kill with AA being way better with the overkill mechanic improved, I think all supporting stuff should be even more expensive. The RT is good, but let's do it for the rest of the supporting units. Again, I'm going to post a screenshot of all the changes because there's just way too many. Cool, moving on. Oh, actually, Brutus got nerfed. He still has his guided rounds, but he's lost the cluster combination. But everyone uses it in guided anyway. And the striker RT, yeah, you can't have a mixture of rounds. It's one or the other now, which again I think is a good change. I'm not too concerned about that. Oh, the Bereg, the mighty Bereg, one of my favorite units in the game. It is the best meme unit in the game. You still have its multi-purpose cannon, but it doesn't work multi-purpose anymore, which is a shame. Its aim time has been reduced on the AA setting, which is fantastic. It means it's now going to be lethal at killing helicopters, like really, really good. Its dispersion has been reduced, so it's more accurate, and its range has been increased for high altitude, so it's got a chance to hit planes now, which is unbelievable. Like, it's already got 2,400 meter range at low altitude. Its range against infantry is 1,000, isn't it? Oh, 1,400, so it can do a lot of damage to infantry as well. Bear that in mind. All for 80 points. I can't wait to use the Bereg more. It is that is phenomenal. Okay, Tulpan, by the way, has been nerfed. Its aim time has been increased 8 to 10 seconds, which is good because it was a bit OP. It used to be 6 seconds, now it's 10. I think that's the right thing to do. Also, the Grad has been nerfed because, yeah, its dispersion is higher, therefore it's going to miss a lot more. So, yeah, the MLRS nerf as well, with the longer rearm time, it's really not a problem because you just spawn... Yeah, I'm looking at you, Smurge. You just spawn these fuckers in, fire them, and RTB. It's really not that hard, and then you don't have to pay income tax for keeping it on the battlefield. It's, yeah, it's a bit spammy. We should increase the price of this much. Wow, so many changes. So many changes. My voice is hurting already. Helicopters. Now, helicopters, I think all the changes are pretty good for them. The biggest change is that their mobility has been increased dramatically. So this used to be 200, but that's okay. That's not increased that much fair. I think they've basically all been increased by about 50 points, the maneuverability, especially the helicopters you'd expect to be more nimble, which is a really, really good thing. So yeah, 200 here. Oh, but that one's not kept up. It's at 150. Somebody will have to correct me in the comments if it was 10 before, but yeah, their maneuverability is significantly increased even at low altitude, so they're going to behave a lot more like helicopters should, and a lot of people have been complaining about this for a while, so it's a very, very good change in my eyes. Yeah, really good stuff. Now, as you can see with the Killer Egg and the Little Bird, its HP has been decreased to 6, so now it can get one-shotted by Iglas, which again, I 100% agree with. This was for such a tiny helicopter. I saw one of these in real life, by the way, today. Not a military version, a civvy version of these. It looked pretty damn sexy, not gonna lie. If I'm gonna buy a helicopter, I'd buy one of these in the civvy version. Really, really cool. Must have been some CIA guy. No, just kidding, I don't know. But it's got a more pointy nose. That's another thing I noticed, whereas this is a bit more compact. Anyway, off topic. I think these should be one shot by Iglas. I mean, they're so small. That yeah. Even Black Hawk down, an RPG took that down. Never mind a dedicated AA weapon. Yeah, it's a very good change. Helis are able to fire their 80 gems faster, so all helis, including the Guardian, you're going to be able to ripple fire these missiles way quicker, which again I think is a really good change because helicopters should just spit them out like there's no tomorrow. And there you go, with 16 missiles you're going to be in for a really good time. It's the same with the Lima on the Mi-28. It is now unbelievably powerful because it's also had its speed increased to match Hellfires, so they're the same speed of Hellfires that were a bit sluggish before, but I think that's fair to have them at the same speed as Hellfires. They are unbelievably powerful now, like really good, so that is good. Right, here is the screenshot of all the price changes because all of the helicopters in the game are basically cheaper because they were just getting shot down a bit too much. So here's the screen. Enjoy it. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Always do that because I really do try to read and reply to all your comments, unlike some YouTubers. But yeah, a lot of changes for helicopters, but the big one is the fact that they fire their missiles faster. Air power. Now there is a lot of really good changes with air power, and my favorite thing is that drones have received an HP nerf. So gone are the days when the Sentinel would take 2 shots to kill. Now it's going to be a 1 shot by any AA system apart from the small ones like the handheld launchers, which I think is really fair. Another great change, which again I think is really fair because we've seen this in real life, is the fact that machine guns can now shoot this down, and Patriots aren't going to waste their missiles on this. So yeah, these are a lot more survivable at low altitude because only SureRad and handheld stuff can shoot it down, but also they're a lot weaker, and machine guns can destroy them, as well as autocannons, so they will get ripped apart in a realistic way a lot quicker. But I really like that change. I have seen a bit of spam with these 4-posts and these thermobaric missiles because they will probably be able to fire when they get into range, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You still can make a lot of kill points by shooting these fuckers out of the sky. It's not all bad. It is a really good change, trust me on this one. Now, one thing I don't actually approve of, and it's a shame because I do really like my Mavericks, especially Mavericks. By the way, the best way to use Mavericks is on the F-18D Hornet. Now, yeah, because you get a very fast afterburning plane at low altitude. By the way, I hope you know that you can fire Mavericks at low altitude now, especially if they're lased. It really helps. So you can scream in, fire, and then GTFO. These are really good. The only problem is that they can no longer reacquire targets, which I think is a really big shame, unfortunately. Yeah, massive shame there, but yeah, because these are really advanced, expensive missiles. They should be able to, you know, say the vehicle moves out of smoke, it should be able to reacquire or lock onto a different target, in my opinion. But airplane decoy has increased, as you can see. Even though they still get shot down more, I quite like that there's more flares, especially if you're just circling this in the back line and it's getting targeted. I think that's a really good feature. Afterburners last for longer. So afterburners burn fuel less quickly, which I think is a really good change. It used to be by a factor of 3 that it burned fuel, now it's by a factor of 2. So you still burn quite a lot of fuel, but I think that's a really good change right there. All helicopter transports, I forgot to mention, sorry, all plane transports are now cheap as well. So look at the C-17, it used to be 250 points if I'm not mistaken, it's now 150. That means paradrops are way more viable, and to be honest, if you want to send a suicide plane to distract enemy AA, this is going to be the beast to do it with. IL-76, yeah, this thing, way cheaper too. Transport planes should be cheaper. I really, really like this change. This should actually be cheaper than the C-17 because it doesn't have any ECM, but okay, no worries. Only 10 points, yeah, it feels kind of unfair. It's the same price as this, but that has 20% ECM, making it a lot more survivable. Yeah, as you can see, there's been a lot of transport changes, so yeah, this is much cheaper as well, as it should be. I really hope to see way more power drops in the game. So yeah, lots and lots of changes, really, really good ones. The PTE is fantastic. Having played it, honestly, I really enjoyed the game. I was borderline hating it with the Baltics, but now I really love it. So get hyped, it's going to be amazing. I hope this helps because there's a lot of changes, a lot of screenshots to put up, but I hope you really enjoyed the information. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.